So late last winter, I bought this vintage Peugeot off Craigslist for 40 bucks. In a nutshell, I really bought it just because I liked the paint job and I had no real plans for it. You know, just like a cheap 10-speed style bike. It's a PH10S from 1983. And then on the live streams, I started to build it up from the parts bins, turned it into a kind of like a flat bar gravel bike with a wheel conversion so I could fit some 38mm tires on there. Made a whole video about it. I'll make that the video that's linked at the end screen if you want to see that whole process and all this stuff. But what happened was it wasn't, there were a couple problems with it. The rear tire was rubbing on the frame a little bit, and also the rear cassette was a Shimano cassette and it was a 7-speed, but I guess it was a short-lived standard of interface for Shimano, so I couldn't find some easier gearing that would fit onto that. So I knew I wanted to switch out wheels. It had like total racing gearing from the 90s, and that's just not the way I want to ride anymore. The other thing was the saddle broke when I was riding it, and the brakes weren't adjusted right. So yeah, I just knew there was a couple things I wanted to go through and fix. So thinking about the last couple weeks, I'm like, oh, let's pull it off the hook and start to get into this bike again. Funny thing is, I put it on the rack. I already made all those changes. I think what happened is it was, you know, it was late winter, it snowed a bunch again, so I didn't get the chance to ride it after I changed it, and then, you know, the weather turned nice and started doing trips, was working on my Marin project. So anyways, I just buttoned up a couple things right now, tightened up the brakes, you know, making sure the tires are holding air, cleaned everything up again, and put the cool little valve caps from BCM on there. The other thing I switched out is I have this saddle on here, which is a Brooks knockoff of Persons. My buddy Jerry picked it up at a co-op, new old stock, I guess. So we'll see how that thing feels and holds up. The front of the drivetrain and shifting is kind of the original. You know, it's top tube friction Simplex, so eat your heart out, Grant, Ronnie, and Jan. You know, same front derailleur and rings. And then in the rear is where I've now got a 34 and a Shimano Alivio derailleur. The hub is a Shimano 105 and a Japanese rim Aria, whatever it's called. So 38mm Gravel King tires now, so I think everything should be good to go. So let's get it out on the road and see how it goes. Gotta remind myself, riding in tow cages. I'm riding in tow cages. I barely ever do anymore since I haven't been riding my vintage bikes this summer. So, don't want to forget I'm locked in. I'm surprised at how reasonably comfortable it is to ride this bike. I feel like where I'm sitting in the wheelbase and kind of over the back wheel is really comfortable. I know the original build of this, you know, with the drops and long stem would have me way up over the front. So that's surprising. I'm not getting full leg extension. The bike isn't quite big enough for me. I think maybe a little bit longer of a seat post, and maybe this saddle could be set back a little bit. I'll have to look. I also have to say, I'm surprised at how well the front end handles. You never know when you switch up an old bike like this. Like my single speed built out of a vintage bike of a similar era with its sweep bars, I have to micro manage the front end a lot. Just fairly twitchy. This, you know, right now one hand and no hand riding, not really an issue. So yeah, I'm surprised, and pleasantly so. So I'm heading towards the bike shop. Something I often do when I'm riding a new build, head in that direction in case something goes wrong. This case, I think I didn't put enough air in the tires. They're 38s, 40 PSI is what my pump said, but they feel really soft and they're looking really soft. So I'm gonna head over there, say what's up to the guys, and put a little more air in the tires.
Get your Fitzwater for that, or if you stuff at Dirty River. So did you see how?
All right, got some air in the tires. Wasn't thinking about the fact that put warm in there and went out in the cold. So I just think I lost a bunch of air and that's why they felt so low. But also got a bunch of stuff reserved and potentially ordered for the gunner, which is nice. The main things that bike is going to need are bars and a wheel set. Boost spacing wheel set in silver, obviously. Friction stem shifters. 2023's hot new trend, the new ATB trend. You heard it here first. When Pathless Pedals shows this later this year, you know, right here, got it on tape. December 13th. All in all, I'm gonna say it's a fun little bike. It is a little small for me. We'll see if we can modify that a little bit to make it a little more comfortable. If I have room to get the stem and the seat post up, or if I have longer stem and seat post at home. We're also dealing with French standards, but I do have a bunch of other old French bikes around, so it might work out. It is no warmer today, but I have to say, thank God the sun is out. It has been so gray lately. You forget how nice it is to be out in the sun, even when it's still cold. So yeah, this is a fun ride. Only thing is the bike's just a little small for me. Like I said, maybe I could make a couple adjustments. If not, I don't know. Do I sell it? I really do like it, but yeah, that'll all just depend. The other thing I was thinking about this bike is it does have the bars on it that I have bar mitts for. So maybe it's my winter commuter. You know, when I would normally ride the single speed, I put the bar mitts on this and this could replace it. I do have a rear rack that came off the bike we just tore, the Japanese bike we just tore down on the stream. So maybe I throw a rack and a pannier and the bar mitts on here and it's a winter, you know, not snow, but like cold weather cruiser. Not sure, to be continued. For those of you who are keeping track of my end of the year little mileage challenge where I picked an arbitrary number and I'm trying to get there, this ride was a little over 10 miles, but I'm trying to average 30 a day. I have another ride I have to do later because I have a Christmas party to go to. My Christmas party. See you in the next one.